Hello, Los Angeles. Pause whatever you're doing and listen closely, because the message that lit up phones in El Segundo this morning was short, loud, and exactly what Lakers fans have been begging for. He's coming. Derrick Jones Jr. is on his way to the Lakers, and from the first run you'll feel the floor stretch, the rim get louder, and the wingspan on defense finally match the promise of this roster. Hit subscribe and tap the bell right now, because we're walking you through every step. The quiet calls that started this, the role the staff drew on the whiteboard, the sets you'll recognize on TV, what it does to the closing five, how the cap stays sane, the risk and the ramp, and the exact calendar from pen to first dunk. You want the hook, not the hedge. So here it is in plain English. The Lakers just added the league's cleanest vertical spacer, who also defends across lines without fouling. No more wishing for a weak side cutter who scares the back line. No more nights where the dunker spot is a placeholder. Jones gives you above-the-square finishing, corner threes that arrive in rhythm, and the kind of length that makes coaches call different plays in crunch time. This isn't a poster move. It's a gravity move. It makes defenders stand 2 steps deeper than they want, and those 2 steps are the difference between a late contest and 3 points, between a layup and a kickout, between almost and enough. Let's run the timeline the way it actually happens in grown teams. Right after the season ended, the staff sat in the dark with a clicker and a list. Add vertical spacing, add a wing who can switch 2-4 without gifts from the whistle, add someone who doesn't need touches to help. In the margin, the phrase that matters most. Make LeBron's reads faster and ads catches cleaner. Profiles were written, not names. Then, the tape kept pulling one name back on the screen. The wing who makes the dunker spot a threat, who sprints into corners, who turns misses into runouts, who plays with a defender's conscience. Spring pushed it forward. Role, not posters. The Lakers already had primary creators and a big who bends the rim. What was missing was a no-drama lane runner who also holds up when teams spam switch everything and empty corner stuff. You want a player who unlocks the second unit without, stealing from the first, who lets the starters breathe and the bench score in straight lines. That's why the calls kept going out and the questions came back with the answers this room wanted to hear. Role clarity, conditioning, willingness to do the simple things fast. Camp sharpened the urgency. Whenever the offense looked bogged down, it wasn't because the stars forgot how to star. It was because the spacing at the rim wasn't loud enough to pull a shot blocker out of the lane, and the weak side wing didn't punish ball watching with violence. The staff cut 2 clips into every meeting. One of the dunker spot asleep, one of a baseline 45 cut, arriving a half beat too late. The fix was printed right there. Bring in the guy whose first 2 steps changed defensive body language. Now for the TV simple frames you'll see the first night. Frame 1. Early offense, not a stampede. Controlled pace. LeBron pushes with his head up at runs middle, and Jones streaks the long diagonal into the weak side corner. The moment the low man leans to tag ad, Jones explodes on the 45 cut. The bounce pass arrives between hips. He's at the square before. The help finishes blinking. If the low man stays home, that same sprint creates a clean corner 3 on the second pass. Either way, the defense is wrong. Frame 2. Half-court, empty corner, pick and roll with ad. Jones starts as a ghost screener for the guard, forces a switch, then back screens the back line on a Spain wrinkle. If the back line stays attached to ad, Jones slips to the rim for the lob. If they tag him, the shooter lifts for the slot 3, and the pass is a straight line read. No wasted dribbles, no pretty grease board needed. Just force a choice and cash the wrong one. Frame 3. Defense in the last 2 minutes. Other team runs spread pick and roll to hunt a mismatch. Jones jumps the switch, sits on the driver's hip without hands, rides him into help, then takes away the skip with a fingertip in the lane. There's no whistle because there's no grab. There's a long arm where the passing window should be. The pull-up is contested, The rebound is honest, and the possession ends right there. That's the shape on TV. Here's the shape in the room. Rotation first, because you care who closes. The staff now has two closing groups they actually trust, not just hope for. Against big wings, you can run guard, Austin Reeves, Jones, LeBron, add, switch most actions, keep bodies in, front, and own the glass without putting a second big on the floor. Against guard-heavy units, you can size down, Reeves, a shooter, Jones, LeBron at the 4, add at the 5, a switch and scram shell that shrinks the court by arms, not by traps. The beauty is choice. Closing 5 is a decision, not a prayer. Offensively, Jones adds points without asking for plays. His gift is doing simple things at sprint speed. He starts 2 feet higher in the corner, so the closeout has to respect the shot, then knifes behind ball watchers the instant they lean. He sets ghost, screens that flip matchups without pounding the dribble. He cracks back in semi-transition to free a teammate, and then becomes the trailer who catches the return pass for the crash dunk. And because he's a willing corner shooter, the tagger can't live in Ad's lap. Every stay home adds a heartbeat to LeBron's passing window. Every help is a lob or a dunk. There's a hidden tax he erases, the second unit getting stuck in mud. Too many benches survive on contested pull-ups and prayer threes. Put Jones with a real rim runner and a shooter, and you get north-south basketball. That's honest. Drag screen, hit the pocket, lob at the square, kick to the corner if the low man cheats. You don't need 5 reads. You need the first right. 1. Night after night, that keeps the scoreboard from dipping when the stars sit. Defensively, 2 details matter more than buzzwords. First, tag discipline. Jones finds bodies on drives, not with grabs, with chests, and then lengthens contests with that last 6 inches most wings don't have. Second, X-out timing. When the ball flies to the weak side corner, he and his partner exchange without panic, so the closeout is short and balanced. That deletes those corner threes that felt automatic last year in 2-minute chaos. The measurable that will never trend. On social but always shows up on film. Fewer rotation fouls. He gets there early enough to contest vertically, not late enough to bump hips. Let's talk sets you'll hear called and learn to love. Dunker drift. Add rolls. Jones drifts behind the backboard, catches below it, and finishes on the other side before the shot blocker lands. Horns 45. LeBron at the elbow, add opposite elbow, Jones lifts from the corner to fake the handoff, then snaps the 45 cut when the defender peeks. Stagger to slip, he sprints off 2, screens to suck a switch, and then immediately slips to the cup when the big show's high. Those are 3 tidy ways to earn 6 points without spending star energy. Risk is real, because grown teams plan, they don't hope. Jones's jumper can swing hot-cold, and the free throws might live a notch under where you want. The mitigation is built into the roll. Let corner threes arrive out of paint touches, not off-the-dribble heroics. Script 1 early lob each half just to keep the back line honest. Pair him with a guard who actually throws the pocket pass on time so his cuts get rewarded and his energy stays high. Another truth, bodies are bodies. The ramp matters. The Lakers will treat the first 3 weeks like a runway. Language, families, then volume.calendar you can track. Travel, medicals, pen, photos, install. Day 1 is words, how this staff names what he already does, where the alerts live, which cues mean ghost and slip versus screen and roll. Day 2 is third down basketball. Late clock sets, sideline out, baseline out, the stuff that decides nights. Day 3 is chemistry. 2-man reps with LeBron and Reeves, so the timing of ghost screens, 45 cuts, and throwbacks becomes muscle memory. First game you see him, expect clarity, not overload. Corner spacing, ghost actions, dunker spot violence, chase down contests. Second game, you'll see Spain wrinkles and more stagger to slip. By the 3rd week, closing groups will feel like buttons, not experiments. Money always lives in the background, so let's keep it adult. The lane this sits in is the responsible one. You're paying for availability and impact, not a poster. Year-to-year flexibility breathes. Playtime and postseason triggers reward what matters. You don't light the future on fire to fix a present tense detail. Function moves look quiet in August and loud in May. Now, the piece fans feel, even if they can't diagram it, permission. A live dunker spot gives the play caller permission to run the same action twice because the defense can't hedge in the same place 2 possessions in a row. A wing who sprints the lane creates permission for a shooter to trail into a clean 3. A defender who switches without grabbing gives permission for the other 4 to stay home and rebound. Add those permissions up and you get what every contender chases. 10 boring possessions a game that cashes points or stops without asking your stars to be magicians. How does this change matchups you actually care about? Against switch, everything. Groups, Jones's ghost screens and slips prevent the dead possessions where the ball ping-pongs around the arc and dies with a contested heave. Against drop teams, his dunker spot gravity erases the tag, so ads rolls stay clean and LeBron doesn't throw late through a forest. Against squads that live on corner 3s, his X-out timing with Wiggins-type wings, yes, imagine that pairing in closing time, shrinks the air those shots need. It's not about a new playbook. It's about a new set of must-respects in the old one. Practice will look and sound different, too. Individual periods get honest when lazy punches get punished by long arms and quick feet. Half-court shell. Runs at real speed because there's a runner on the weak side who will punish any ball watching. The bigs talk earlier because they know the low man is already moving. This is what raising the floor looks like when cameras aren't around. You'll feel it on Wednesdays in February as much as on Sundays in May. Chemistry with the stars? Clean. Jones doesn't need a diet of ISOs to feel involved. He needs 2 touches at the square, 3 clean corner looks, and 4 sprints that bend the defense. LeBron gets an easier first read because the backline is honest. Ad gets a truer lob window because the tagger is guarding a person, not a placeholder. Reeves finds shorter passes in keepers and slot pick and roll because the help has to honor a cutter who doesn't stop. The bench finally has a north-south identity that doesn't depend on a heat check quarter from someone who might not be hot. Will the closing 5 be automatic? No. And that's the point. Sometimes you close with shooting, sometimes with size, sometimes with speed and arms. What you haven't had is a live wire wing who makes all 3 groups more dangerous without asking for the ball. That's the gift here. It's not an autograph. It's a lever. Drop your read below. Would you park Jones in the weak side corner so the 45 cut lives all night, or feature him as the ghost screen merchant to force switches and scramble rotations? Do you want him paired with ad in low usage, minutes to live at the square, or stagger him with LeBron so there's always a downhill threat on the floor? Your answers shape the film room we'll roll out as soon as the first snaps hit our screen. We'll diagram the ghost, the drift, the X-out, and the way a single sprint turns a crowded lane into a clean layup line. And only here, only at the very end, the clarity that keeps this community honest. This episode lives inside our rumors and speculation window. We connect internal signals, coach logic, and a long memory of how these rooms build to show you why a move like this fits and exactly how it would look once finalized. My personal take is simple and firm. A vertical spacer who defends without. Fouling doesn't just add highlights. He accelerates reads, erases panic, and gives the Lakers a calm button in the loudest minutes of the season. The kind of quiet upgrade that turns close fourth quarters into controlled finishes.